my brother, and my uncle all really fast, and we all three did track.
Now go. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Slow to fast, general to specific. Okay. And then we'll end up finishing with some of our sprint technique drills, and then we'll get into our sprints, and we'll get on the gates, and we'll do all that kind of stuff. All right, so again, starting very generally, each thing we do, we'll go from the blue line to those red arrows. Okay. We're just gonna start here, big knee tuck, squeeze everything forward, drop down into a lunge, and then when you're down here, I just like to kind of explore, see what feels good, see what we need. So I like rocking back and forth. I'll usually take my knee, kind of shove it out over my toe there, open the ankle up a bit, might even like throw this out in front and kind of sink back down into that hamstring. And I'm always trying to move, right? I want it to be pretty dynamic here as we're going, because again, if we're gonna get into running, everything we do, we want warming up for running to be dynamic and not static. Beautiful, so we'll go backwards now. All right, so heels will basically be here. Knee's gonna go up. You're gonna imagine like there's a hurdle behind you. Knee up, out, and around. And then as you reach back, you're gonna go into a reverse lunge and then throw a little bit of a reach up there. Kind of squeeze your hips forward, get in that hip flexor, and then a couple steps back. Up, out, and around. Big reach. Big step out to the side, lateral lunge, to the right, to the left. All right, toes are gonna go forward, side to side here. And then you're just gonna add a little spin, a little shuffle, and then go back out there to the left. All right, so just alternating opposite foot, opposite hand, kick, couple steps in between, kick back up to the top. Talk me through this year's track season.
Came into the season running a 56.
400 meter?
Yeah.
Quad stretch reach up on the toe.
PR last year, and then that was my time trial for the start of this year.
Okay.
So my goal was to get to about 54-ish. I went to all the conditioning before the season even started, and I could tell that was helping. And went out the first meet and ran 53, which is 3-second PR and already the varsity letter time.
Nice.
So that was a big jump.
As a sophomore?
As a sophomore, yeah.
Face this way. And continue to talk through this as you go. So squat, shuffle, shuffle. So now it's a little faster. Squat, shuffle, shuffle. Squat, shuffle, shuffle. Nice. 53 on the first one, so lettered right away. This was just in the open?
Yep. And that was a definitely a big confidence booster.
Heck yeah.
But I feel like it also made me more invested. It made me more invested in track.
Yeah.
Just because I knew it could be something that I could be good at.
Saw some immediate success.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think that only fueled me to continue to work hard and keep PRing.
Yeah.
I think I saw improvements throughout the whole season because I went in with that mindset that like I could be good, so it's something worth like pursuing in all my effort.
Yeah, heck yeah.
I think part of how I succeeded so much was because I was invested, so I gave my body time to recover when it needed to.
All right. Sprinting is the meta plyo. It's like the best plyo you could possibly do. So we want to make sure that as we're getting prepared to do those sprints, that we're doing tons of plyos to kind of prep that. So we're just going to start up off the heels. Toes are on the ground. You're thinking about striking the ground with your toe pad and then hopping up off the ground pretty quickly, all right? So knees are just slightly bent the whole time, so it's athletic, right? We're trying to strike the ground, pop up off the ground pretty quickly there, and we're only going to go through this yellow line. Lateral hops, same idea. Here, again, striking the ground. When you get up off the ground on that pogo hop, I want you to try to strike the ground, so make contact by punching into the ground, as opposed to just letting yourself drop down and then going into a vertical jump. Does that make sense? So the difference is instead of here, pushing up and kind of absorbing, I want you to be the one to bring the foot into the ground with some speed and some pace. And then as soon as you hit, pulling yourself right back up. Yeah. Pull the toes up, pull the toes up, pull the toes up. Yeah. Yeah. When we're talking about accelerating, trying to push ourselves into the ground to move horizontally, so our forces are taking us this direction, right, as we're trying to speed up. When we're at our top speed, it's much more vertical. So as we come up, we have to be able to attack the ground and punch up off the ground, right? And this is kind of prepping our ankle and our foot and our knee to be able to take care of that. All right, same idea, but we'll go right leg only. You just think about like being fluid, but still attacking the ground with that right foot. And let's go that same distance. We'll go right foot down, left foot back. Yeah. Not even so much concerned about height, just speed off the ground. So short ground contact time. Yeah. Nice. And then one time, let's alternate. So right, left, again, punch down, pull the toe up. Punch down, pull the toe up. This will help like with dancing at prom and homecoming too. You know, getting this rhythm. Beautiful. Okay, so double the amount of reps. So we're taking away height, right, but adding volume through this short duration. All right, so instead of here, I want you to think about here. So it's quicker off the ground because we're not going as high, but still making contact. Yeah. Yeah. All right, so not super locked out, but not super bendy. We're not trying to push a ton. I just want you to try to float kind of across the top of the track. Yep. Start to pull a bit more as you strike. So it's going to be more into our hamstrings instead of just our ankle and our foot. But I want you to think about, as you strike the ground, pull through this hamstring, give you a little more distance, a little more pace. And then we're pulling. Yeah, now go. Pull. Yep. Nice. If we are trying to change movement patterns over a long duration of time, we've got to train the outliers, right? So it's got to either be really big or really small. If we train kind of the same positions and patterns over and over again, we'll never make any progress either way. Yeah. So when we're doing drills just to feel specific things. And here what I want you to feel is bigger shapes in the upper body and just see how that kind of carries you a little longer. Yep, now go. Bigger. Yeah. I would say I want people to be watching you and say, why does that look so weird? Yeah. Right, it's gotta be that big. Okay. Does that make sense? All right, let's go one more. Right, so low knees here, so knee basically stays at the same height and goes forward. And then we're doing just like we were saying on the ground, kind of just like sliding there along the ground. All right, we're gonna go as fast as we can with that, okay? So arms have to go faster, can still be big, but faster. Lower body can go faster, and then cruise into it from there. All right, so here, yeah. Nice, relax. First position I like to start is, I call it just a falling forward start. So feet slightly underneath, basically feet underneath the hips, knees are slightly bent. All we're gonna do is hold this same upper body position and just fall. All right, so before we hit to the ground, before we basically slam our face on the ground, we're gonna split the upper body. One foot's gonna go in front, and then we're just gonna bound out of it that way. Knees slightly bent. This one's going first. Big punch. 2 or 3 of them. Big punch. Yeah. Yep. You're gonna naturally wanna cycle, which means pull the heel up, right? Come up and around. I want you to think about just driving the knee forward. If I'm behind you, as you're accelerating, I don't wanna see the bottom of your foot, okay? So that's why we do that low knee run to prep that, this here, because it's that same position, it's just extended and a little longer. So knee drives forward, punch back down behind you, knee drives forward, you're never gonna see the bottom of the foot there, all right? So if you're watching from behind me, and I go here, you're never gonna see the bottom of my foot, right? Because I don't want my heel coming all the way up. I want it to punch back behind me so it can take me out as far and as fast as possible. Top, punch. Yeah, better, nice. All right, on this one, the emphasis is gonna be hang time. All right, so still holding that same angle, punching yourself out, but as you get up into that position where that knee's forward, right, and we're extending through that back ankle and that back heel and back knee, I want you to try to hold it for a second before you switch. Punch. Yeah, good. Shin angles are gonna determine where our speed and force and projection are gonna be, right? So as I'm accelerating out, I want my shins to be as low as possible. The moment we take that first step and go like this, everything else is gonna sequence vertically. Does that make sense if I say it like that? So if we stay here with the upper body and we're punching back behind us, that shin is able to stay lower because we're holding our spine angle at a lower position. If we go here and then look up, our upper body's gonna raise up and then our knee's gonna come up here. which then puts our foot down, which our shin tells us that our power is going to go this way. We want it to go this way. Okay? So head stays down, chin kind of stays tucked. And as we're swinging that arm back, I want to be able to like freeze frame that camera and have our arm back above our head. If our head is too high, it'll never get there. Yeah. So that thing should be way up. That's why I say big shapes, right? Here, and then big rip through. All right, so lean, punch, big. And again, it should be so big it feels silly, right? Because we're trying to make changes to a movement pattern that you've done thousands and thousands of times, right? So we've got to go so far past our default position to be able to feel any benefit from it. We know that in 15 feet, this lane is still going to be in this same spot. We know in 30 feet it's going to be in the same spot. We know in 50 feet it's going to be the same spot. So don't be in a rush to get your head up and look where you're going. Right, so hold that position as long as you can. Keep your head down, punch, drive, bound, and then naturally we'll start to raise up. But because we're on a track, we know exactly where we're going to be, you know. And then going, I want you to think the reason we kind of squat and compress is because then as we lean, we can expand and push. Does that make sense? So it's like you're loading a slingshot. Right, so if I try to jump like this, I'm not going to get very high. That's why I squat and jump, and I'm able to accelerate myself, right? Same idea on our start. Here, push. Punch. Yeah, nice. Let's look at low-hanging fruit. I know we didn't even finish the story, but we went 53, right? And then ultimately finished at 50, right, at state. So if we continue to do like distance training and conditioning, which you've been doing tons and tons and tons of, it's a lot of effort for very little improvement. The low-hanging fruit is improving our ability to accelerate and have a higher top-end speed, which then gives us what we refer to as speed reserve, which you've talked about a little bit. Where if I go from running 15 miles an hour, and I have to run 15 miles an hour the whole time, if I can get to the point where I can run 20 miles an hour, running 15 miles an hour is going to be way easier, right? And then you'll have the kick, you'll have the start, you'll be able to close space when you need to, right? So that's not a conditioning thing, that's a max output thing, right? So everything that we want to be working on when we have these specific top speed days is as much force production as possible. Right, we're trying to like break the ground here as we push through it. Right, so that's going to be totally different than what we're used to feeling. So this should be feeling foreign as we're doing it because it gives us, again, low-hanging fruit. Like if we improve this over a couple weeks, we can see massive improvements on the other side. So that puts us in a obviously like incredibly horizontal bent over position. All right, so we're going to start kind of same idea. Knees are going to be slightly bent, and instead of rolling forward and punching out, we're going to reach a leg back, and then we're going to drive this knee forward to take us out. All right, so we're going to use some of that momentum from the leg swing. Here, still leaning, punch. Now that momentum from the last leg is going to take you horizontal. Big. Yeah, yes. We went here, and then went here, right? That again, this is breaking us, right? If it goes here, that's accelerating us. Right? So here, punch, punch. Punch into the ground. Punch, yes. Yeah, nice. Usain Bolt has to be incredibly technical running 100 meters. Micah Parsons doesn't have to use any technique. He just has to get to the quarterback as fast as possible, right? So half of our training is Usain Bolt. Half of the training is Micah Parsons. Okay. Half of it's just shut your brain off and be an athlete and rip, right? So this is Usain Bolt. I want you to think about it a little bit. Right? So I want you thinking about that as we go through this. And again, practice and reps in the future. Consider those things. How did that feel? Yeah. Right? Like what's something, okay, my arms maybe were a bit tight, let me relax them. And then I use the objective data, the time, that says, all right, maybe that wasn't the best thing. Or you see an improvement and you think, oh, that was great, I'm gonna do that again. And then we iterate on those things. Make sense? Let's see.
Go as fast as you can, remember what I told you.
Yes, or that. That's also a good point. Yeah. Pop, 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 pop. Nice. 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 Woo! Cruising. Because that was good. The start was fluid, but then we just didn't have enough time.
Titan, imagine you only need one more point to win, and then you win the whole entire state last track meet over the whole entire world.
Now go. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. I don't know if this is a good metaphor. Gun to my head. I don't mean to. So, like, gun to my head, I've got to run the fastest I can possibly run. I'm going to give myself a minute break for every 10 yards that I'm sprinting, right? So if you're running 30 yards and you're even running through, let's say 40 yards, I'd have a 4-minute rest, right? So anything under that is, you're not going to feel fully recovered. So the time's going to be, which again, in this situation is fine. The low hanging fruit is max effort sprinting, because it's going to improve all of our athletic qualities as well as carry over into running the 400, as you will have a higher ability to create outputs. So moving at that 50-yard pace is going to be, 50-second pace is going to be easier. Yeah, and you'll make progress faster. Yeah, because it's new. Yeah, you'll get the new gains that you would get from anything that you would try after you get through the duration of time where it's frustrating and annoying and you're not good at it.
But it would be.
Yeah. That's the lever that you've been cranking on, is the endurance lever, right? So we might as well figure out another lever to be able to pull to also get really quick benefit from. No NFL player trains in the off-season running distances, but somehow they're able to play entire football games, right? It's just because the energy system you build anaerobically supports the aerobic system, but the aerobic system, so our ability to run distances without fatigue, does not support the anaerobic system. The focus needs to be max velocity, how fast we can possibly move, because that also supports all the strength training stuff. They work like really well hand in hand. Yeah. And then if you want to have a day where you just go out and casually run and just enjoy the running, then that would be a good day too.
But he needs.
You will not lose aerobic ability by training anaerobically. I completely disagree. Yeah. I think that's one of the worst things you can do for a sprinter is make them run distances. Yeah. It probably, in my mind, the number one worst thing you could do for a sprinter is to inadvertently their type 2 muscle fibers to move slowly. Like it just wouldn't make any sense. Yeah. Anything else motivational you feel like sharing?
Well, if you really want to jump over hurdles, you have to jump high and then do the splits whenever you see under you that you're over it, and then you go down, then jump again and do the same thing you always did.
Got it. Okay, that's a good approach. And that would be for hurdlers who are interested in getting better at hurdling?
What I usually do to get faster, I just line up, and whenever I hear something, I go, but I hear something that's loud, like a whistle or one of those guns. And in my last meet, finally, our team did not get disqualified. So I was on the Fisher's Plains, and I was like the second speediest guy on my team. And I don't know how fast I can run, but this might seem embarrassing, but I do not know how to run on a treadmill or jump hurdles.
Not embarrassing at all. Thank you.